ASMR Magical Tools. Hi, welcome back. So you can see that things are a little bit cluttered in my workspace today. And that is because I'm going to be filming a ritual. It is currently 3:50-ish in the morning of Wednesday, May 26th. And we are experiencing the full moon eclipse in Sagittarius. This is the super flower blood moon. So I printed out the chart for this eclipse, and I might try to put a link down in the description box too. There are a lot of different things going on in the sky right now, so even if you do not necessarily have your moon in Sagittarius, there might still be other stuff going on in your chart which is being activated right now. So, for example, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus are all up here in Gemini. Leo is going to be the ascendant at the actual time of the most full part of the eclipse. And of course Mars in Cancer, and the North Node is actually in Gemini, and the South Node is down here in Sagittarius also. And then of course a lot of these other transits that we've been talking about for a while, things like Uranus is in Taurus, Lilith is also in Taurus at this time, Chiron in Aries, there's Neptune in Pisces. Jupiter's also in Pisces right now. Saturn is in Aquarius, and Saturn actually just went retrograde on Sunday, which is the 23rd. And then, of course, Pluto in Capricorn, which is also retrograde at this time. So any of those particular positions, for example, my North Node is in Gemini, so that has to do with my destiny. There being, possibly two paths I could take. Could also have to do with my communication skills, things like that. And the full moon being in Sagittarius opens up creativity as far as your destiny is concerned, and elevating yourself. So things might be coming to light regarding the ways in which you elevate yourself. I know one of the things that I've been hearing for Leo sun signs at this time is that things are going to be falling out of my life that are no longer serving me. So I'm excited about that. That's part of what I'm going to be working on with the ritual today. We can also look at the moon, of course, because it is a full moon, is in direct opposition to the sun, and is also forming a square with Jupiter in Pisces. So that Jupiter in Pisces placement is a little bit exciting. Pisces, of course, being a mutable water sign, and there being a lot of murkiness to that aspect, whereas Jupiter is very much geared towards wealth and expansion. Pisces, not that it's counterintuitive to that, but the intuition might cloud the possibility. So it's important to stay grounded during this time when Jupiter is in Pisces, and especially when we're looking at Jupiter is native to Sagittarius, and so it's forming a square to the moon there in its native sign. And the moon isn't native to Pisces, but it is aligned to water sign Cancer. So you get the opposition of fire and water energies. Not an opposition of planets, but opposition of energies. So, let me talk about some of the tools that I'll be using. You don't need fancy candles. I buy a lot of my candles at the thrift store. And you can decide that you might want to cleanse them. I have not found that any candles that I've bought have had such overwhelmingly negative energies attached to them that it affected my working. But if that's something that is a concern to you, I definitely advise cleansing all of your tools before you get started. I have a tendency, I want to be fully honest with you, that I have a tendency to kind of work dirty, so to speak, in that I don't cleanse my tools as much as I kind of work with them in the context of my life and self overall. So another part of that is I always have a lot of obsidian around me when I sleep for protection. And it does a great job of keeping me from ending up in bad situations while I'm asleep. Not necessarily that I don't have nightmares occasionally or dreams that that can be a little scary, but that I don't have people coming into my dreams and taking advantage of me. So I surround myself with a lot of obsidian, and this obsidian is obsidian glass. I have another big chunk of it over here too. Yeah, I just absolutely surround myself with obsidian. These are Obsidian Tears, and they have been sanded. They've been given like a preliminary sanding, so they have kind of a frosted appearance. And I use these as an eye mask sometimes. So we'll be using that in the ritual. I have, of course, some kaifi incense, which is a lunar incense. You could technically use fire incense also, because Sagittarius is a fire sign. So that's also an option for you. But I wanted to really emphasize the lunar energies, bringing things to light at this time. And I have all these glasswares. And they have, some of them have ridges on the outside. And it's important to remember that when you're doing sound therapy, you don't always need like the fanciest or most expensive tools. It can be very tempting to go online and find perfectly tuned crystals, like crystal tuning forks and things like that, which are very cool. And I'm not taking anything away from that. But it's also important to remember that should not be the totality of your experience. It's also okay to see there's like there are different tones there. And I'm just using a piece of Palo Santo as a striker. You could use anything. And you can still vibrate with those frequencies. And these items were created by machine, but there's still a certain organic quality to the glass itself. Just, trust yourself. Sorry, the lid is very dusty. I should have noticed that before pulling it out. But this is just a very, I don't mean to call it generic, like it's just plain or normal or anything like that, because I've gotten excellent results from this over the years. But it is pretty much like a pumpkin spice recipe. So whatever spices go into the pumpkin spice are excellent for manifestation and as a drawing oil. You can draw money into your life this way. It's good for love spells if you do love spells. But basically, any of the spices, like allspice, I have some anise in there. Anise is great for psychic attunement. I have cloves in there, cinnamon, and then for the base I just used olive oil. Nothing fancy, but it's a very good functional oil, and I have used it quite a bit over the years. Now, I don't really have a lot of lunar oils in my collection, I don't think. I don't tend to accumulate lunar tools. It's not my nature particularly to do so. I have a lot of fire energy in my chart. And my sun sign, of course, is Leo. So I have a tendency to accumulate more solar oils. And there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever tools you end up having are going to be the right tools for you to use. So just keep that in mind when you're getting ready to do your work. And then I think this is the last thing I have. The last thing I have is this bottle of peach-colored fluid, which is salt water. And this is purified water or filtered water. And I've added Himalayan pink salt to the water for purification. Usually people use white salt for purification, but I like using the Himalayan pink salt. We got a big container of it at Costco, so it's convenient for me to use that. And I like that it has the extra minerals in it that makes it pink. It kind of makes me think of the correlation between quartz crystal and smoky quartz. So plain clear quartz crystal and smoky quartz crystal, kind of that same dynamic, that maybe the minerals amplify its purification powers or something. But of course, that's to your individual preference. If that doesn't resonate with you, then it's not going to help your magic. That helps me kind of feel like it's purifying. Okay, so I'm going to light this white candle as well. Let's go ahead and start getting our candles lit. And I invite you at this time. We're getting to the fullest part of the eclipse, I believe, at this time. Yeah, so it's a time of change, I should say. It's a time when your routines might be disrupted. The ways that things have been. Bridging and how things are going to be. These are stuck together. That's convenient. Let's get the party started with some party light candles. Kind of create a periphery. Here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I do have my windows full open, so you might hear sounds from the outside. I figured out that the guy who screams at the same time every night is watching basketball. I knew he was watching some kind of sport, but I figured out tonight it was basketball in particular. And get our stick of incense. And I'm just going to light that from the candle. It's a personal preference. You can light it from a lighter if you want the flame to be separate. I wanted the candle flames to be separate, but the incense flame doesn't need to be separate at this time. So just cleanse the space with the incense. And I've mentioned before that you can use incense to cleanse a space just like you would with a sage bundle or lighting Palo Santo. And I didn't dress my candles ahead of time, so I'm just going to drip some oil onto the candles. I think I'll use this candle because it has a glass enclosure. You don't even have to fully dress your candles all the time necessarily. Sometimes if I have a candle that's walled in like this, I will just drip a little oil in there. Can put a little bit of oil around the edges of these candles. just be careful when you're doing that. You don't want to set yourself on fire. And then, of course, I always like to just rub that into my hands, and it smells so good. Especially get the notes of the anise and the allspice coming together, so that you get that very crisp smell. The cloves too, like it's a very crisp kind of, you might associate it with the fall months, but it doesn't have to be specific to fall or autumn. So now we have the really nice smells from the candles. These are also vanilla scented candles, which is fine if you have a candle of a certain color and it has a fragrance to it. You just want to check and make sure that the correspondences fit, so that it's not a candle that has one correspondence and then your fragrance has a correspondence that's not going to go with your working, or that the correspondences clash or anything like that. I'm going to move in a clockwise motion on this center votive glass. And while I'm doing that, I want you to start thinking about any parts of your daily routine, any parts of your daily life, not just the things that work, but the things that don't work also. And just kind of go through you don't have to go through the whole machinations of your day. Kind of start at the beginning of your day. Think about the things that you do every day. Do you make coffee every morning? Do you eat breakfast? When do you leave your house? Do you leave your house at a certain time? Do you drive first thing in the morning? Are you irritated when you drive to work? Are you fully awake when you drive to work? That's just one example. Not everybody's going to be driving to work early in the morning. Do you work an afternoon shift? Do you work from home? What time do you eat lunch, if you eat lunch? Do you do a good job of making sure that you are nourishing your body throughout the day? Gradually expand your focus. not just to your own life, but think about how all of your individual actions may or may not affect the people around you. Do you make breakfast for other people? Do you carpool? One thing that I myself have been guilty of is road rage. I've worked on it quite a bit, and I've actually gotten a lot better, so that driving is not as stressful for me anymore, and it's certainly not as stressful for the people around me and my passengers. So that could be a way that you affect other people as well. Do you have a tendency to go to a place to get coffee every day? Do you buy your lunch? Do you buy your dinner? Do you order dinner and have it delivered to your house? So the next thing that we're going to do is a breathing exercise. And for this breathing exercise, you can, of course, follow along in any way that you feel comfortable. But I'm going to invite you to pinch your left nostril closed. And we're going to inhale for 4 through the right nostril. Excuse me. And then we're going to pinch the right nostril closed and exhale through the left nostril. We're going to do that 4 times. And then we're going to switch, and we're going to inhale through the right nostril and exhale through the left nostril. And I'll be counting using my fingers on the screen, but you'll be able to hear me breathe. All right, so if you're ready, let's begin. Okay. All right, now switch. Last exhale. Great job, great job, great job. You're doing great so far. So now I'm going to move these containers a little bit closer to me because I think they have a little bit louder resonance than these other containers here. And I'm going to be moving between them. In a figure 8 pattern. And we are going to start using the salt water. And there's an extra ingredient I didn't talk about. I keep natron on my altar up here. So I'm going to put a pinch of natron into my mouth. To purify my mouth. It's natron and a little bit of herbs. So now what's going on here is that everything in your life is being gently exfoliated, basically. By this motion. Things that no longer serve you are now going to be allowed to leave your life. out these little pieces of obsidian. Some of those might be a little loud, so I apologize if it's too jarring. Kiss that one. And of course, this is important for me specifically. It's good that I have Obsidian Tears like this to do this ritual, but this will also purify and refresh the energy for when I put these obsidians back under my pillow. Oh, this one's a little bit cracked. That's interesting. You can see this one has a little bit of a crack in it. I don't remember that being there before, but it's possible. Anytime your crystals crack like that, it can be a sign that they're doing their job of protecting you. So that's something to think about. All these little pebbles of obsidian. Think of those as representing the moments in your day-to-day life. We're just going to be purifying them and washing them in this salt water. And I want to point out that the ASMR elements of the ritual are also very important, because what you're doing is creating a receptive state within your subconscious mind for positive changes and manifestation to take place. So hopefully you find this very relaxing and that it puts you into that receptive state. I dripped a little bit of liquid there. It's okay, it's just salt water. Hopefully it won't get super crusty on my tablecloth. You can see the residue that's left behind from the salt inside the container. There's always going to be remnants of these rituals in your life and their previous importance to you. So it's okay to let them go. Now you can see that we have these two glasses with our obsidian stones and the salt water. And we have one empty vessel. And we have our two receptacles off here to the side. This will help loosen up some of that Saturn retrograde energy too. Saturn's really going to be digging in his heels over this retrograde season. Found a cat here. That's all right. We're going to be cleaning all of that stuff out of your daily routines. And when I'm done with this water, I'm going to pour it in the toilet. Whenever you're getting rid of energies, if you're doing any kind of purification work, don't forget to dispose of your waste items properly. So you want to take things as far away from your living situation. You want to take things away from your work situation, anywhere that you spend a lot of time. You don't want to leave your spell work waste there. So a lot of times if you have leftover liquids like this, pouring them in the toilet is a good option, especially because this is just salt water, so it's very inert. For wax and things that are solid, you can take them to a remote location and bury them in the ground. Or you can throw them out the window of your car, but it's not the best thing to do. If you find a garbage can somewhere, you can put them in there, and that's really the best solution for solid wastes from your spell work. We won't have any solid waste from the spell work, and well, things like candle wax. If you're doing any kind of spell work where you're trying to expel something, you absolutely want to get rid of that candle wax. But if it's just a purification candle like these, that's not quite as important. Not quite as important. I missed one. This one's very beautiful. It's very transparent, as you can see. So now refined everything down to our salt water and our Obsidian Tears. Thank you for joining me for this lunar eclipse in Sagittarius ritual working. Purify our lives. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please comment down below, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon.